Hi, welcome to my bakery. Do you love coffee and also freshly baked bread? Imagine combining the two into an irresistible and super delicious coffee bread. Today I'm showing you how to make an easy coffee bread that even beginners can manage to bake. Let's get started. So in the morning, I prepared 8 cups of coffee, can be rather strong, and I let it cool down. So I have 400 grams of cold coffee here, which we will need today. And I put 400 grams of coffee into the fridge. So now let's start with the seeds. I've just roasted 200 grams of sunflower seed. Oh, sorry. I've just roasted 120 grams of sunflower seeds and 120 grams of pumpkin seeds. I'll put them into the bowl. I'm adding 10 grams of salt, 60 grams of sesame seeds, 60 grams of linseeds or flax seeds, and I will mix that. The salt is not 100% necessary, but we will leave the seeds at room temperature overnight, and if it's very warm, this is a good idea because otherwise your seeds may go bad. So now I'm adding 330 grams of water. And I'll just stir that. Okay, then I'll put the lid on the seeds and I will leave them in the kitchen or in the bakery, as I said, at room temperature. Okay, and next we want to prepare the poolish. Therefore, we need 6 grams of fresh yeast and, 4 grams of yeast. And as I mentioned, the coffee, 400 grams of coldish, lukewarm coffee. So I will stir that with a whisk so that the yeast can dissolve. And then I'm adding 400 grams of wheat flour, and this is type 1050. As an alternative, you can also use Swiss Ruch flour. So we'll put that into the coffee yeast mixture, stir it nicely, and again, as I said in an earlier video, it's not a good idea to use your whisk for stirring because then all the flour water or flour coffee mixture in this case will be inside here and very sticky. So stir that nicely until all the flour is incorporated. Okay, that's it. So then remember to wipe away the mixture from the edge so that this does not dry out. And then we'll cover it and leave it at room temperature overnight as well, so 8 to 10 hours approximately. So here we are again. Now we want to continue baking our coffee bread. And therefore, I told you I prepared the coffee. The coffee is now nice and cold. and that is 400 grams. And I'll put that into the kneading machine. So then 18 grams of salt, 12 grams of yeast, and there we have the poolish. It's nice and bubbly, and we'll put that in. And here, using the scraper is a good idea. Okay. And then here we have our soaked seeds. So mostly all the water is in. So we'll put that into the kneading machine. So that was 120 grams of sunflower seeds, 120 of pumpkin seeds, and half of that, so 60 grams of linseeds and 60 grams of sesame seeds. And then there is the flour, that is 930 grams of wheat flour, type 550. So now we have everything in, and we'll start our kneading machine. And we will now knead the dough slowly for 8 minutes and faster for another 4 to 6 minutes. You start mixing, and when it's nicely mixed, you can turn the speed up a bit. And in the meantime, I'll show you how to grease your proofing box, because I was asked about that. So you can use any vegetable oil. I use rapeseed oil, sunflower oil is also a good idea. And then you just pour a little bit in. Take a brush, silicone brush does nice work. Then you just grease your box a little bit, the bottom, the sides. And that's it. So the dough has kneaded now for 4 minutes. So about 14 minutes later, the dough has been kneading nicely, and we can take it out of the kneading machine. So you know that you put your hand into cold water so the dough would not stick to your hand too much. Take the dough off the hook. Okay. And then we'll put it into the proofing box. So this is heavy work. Scrape it out of the bowl. And then the dough will proof for about 4 hours in the fridge. So that means I will cover it, put it into the fridge, let it rise there for 1 hour, and then I will see you again for stretching and folding. Now 2 hours have passed since I kneaded the dough. I stretched and folded it 1 hour ago, and now comes the second time stretching and folding. So as you know, you put your hands into cold water, go under the dough, pull it up and fold it down. Turn, second step, go under the dough with your hands, pull it up and fold it over. Turn again, go under the dough, pull it up, fold it over, and one more time. Up and down. Okay, then I'll cover it, put it back into the fridge. It will rise for another hour in the refrigerator. I will stretch and fold it again, and then I'll see you again in 2 hours. So the dough has risen for 4 hours now, and I've just taken it out of the fridge and put it on the scales. And now you have two options. You can either take small proofing baskets, then you would divide the dough into quarters. So you would need 4 of these baskets or small bowls. I want to bake the coffee bread today in the pot, in the cast iron pot. That's why I'm using bigger baskets. They are different in size, but that doesn't matter. And I will divide my dough into halves. So, flour onto the surface, switch the scale on, and it's on 0. Let the dough slide out of the box, put it back, and so I know it's 2780, so we'll say 2800. That would be 1400 grams per bread. So flour the baskets and then divide the dough. If you don't want to weigh the dough and say it doesn't matter if it's 1200 or 1400, it's up to you because they will not bake together. So that's 1420, that's totally fine. Okay. So now we need to shape the doughs. I'll push a bit of flour underneath and a bit more on the surface for the fingers. And then, like with the rolls, we'll take the dough from the edges, fold it inside, like this. You can hear the air go out. Okay. So we want to have a nice crust. That's why I will put some more flour here. Now we'll turn the dough over and push the sides underneath like this while turning it around. Okay, and then the dough goes into the basket. And we'll take care of the second bread. Same procedure. Fold it. It's a bit sticky, so take more flour. Okay. this. Okay, wonderful. Put more flour here so it doesn't stick to the proving basket. Turn it over and then push the dough underneath so that the surface can tighten. And we'll put it in. So what I'll do next is I'll cover both baskets and I will put one into the fridge and the other one will rise at room temperature for 60 to 90 minutes, again depending on the temperature in your kitchen. I will put the pot into the oven in half an hour and preheat the oven with a pot. Okay. So the bread dough has risen now for 70 minutes and I have preheated the oven to 250 degrees together with the cast iron pot. I will now take it out of the oven. Okay, close the oven. And I've come across this wonderful device which is called bread sling. And this is very helpful to put the dough into the pot. And I'm using this cake lifter for it. Put the bread sling there and put the two like this on top. Turn it over. Okay. Then nice and fast, I'll put the bread into the pot. Okay. Open the oven, put the pot in and close the lid. And I will now bake it at 250 degrees for 20 minutes. If you don't have this bread sling, of course you can also use parchment paper. Parchment paper, you cut across, put it onto the cake lifter and put the bread on top of the parchment paper and put it into the pot with the parchment paper. Okay, as I was saying, now I will bake it for 20 minutes at 250 degrees and then I will turn down the temperature to 210. We'll bake it for 15 minutes and then I will take off the lid and bake it for another 15 minutes. So all in all, 50 minutes. Okay, so 50 minutes later, the bread can be taken out of the oven. Let's switch it off. Okay, let's see. So you can easily lift the bread out of the pot with the help of that bread sling. And look at this beautiful bread. Okay. Good. Enjoy.